I know he got a raise.
I'm doing a video, baby. Don't come over here.
Don't have to do the stuff.
What's up, family? It's your boy, King L Bay, and I'm going live today on YouTube. So, we're going to break this down, and I'm going to share the screen, and we got to understand what's going on with due process. So, let me go to StreamYard. So, let's go back. Let's go back. So, what is due? What do mean, family? Do mean just, proper, regular, lawful. Let me cut that out. I'm sorry. You probably got some echo. So, I'm a, I'm breaking this down so you guys can see, right, what is due when we talk about due process of law is regular, lawful, sufficient, remaining, unpaid. So something is due is remain unpaid, reasonable, as in the phrase due care, due process, due notice. So I need you to understand what is due, right? So when we get into this, I'm going to break this down, the tale of two jurisdictions, and want to talk about your real identification. So we need to understand your real identity is that you are a taxpayer. I want you to understand. You have a tax identification number. We're going to go here. I need y'all to understand. Hey, Jariah, I'm doing a video. So let me see. I love you too, mama. So I want you to look at, okay, a taxpayer. It says a tax identification number is an identification number used for tax purposes in the United States and in other countries the common reporting standards. In the United States, it's also known as a tax identification number. So I'm going to share this with y'all. Then we're going to go to the code and I'm going to show you why this is your real identity. You keep talking about your Moorish identity, but they got you as a under a tax identification number. So long as you got this tax identification number, right? They're going to continue to identify you as a taxpayer. And what you got to understand, before you come into court, the court must determine that you owe a debt to the United States. This article is about identifying numbers used in the U.S. tax system for tax identification numbers used in other countries. National identification numbers for other types of identification numbers. See UID. Um, this ambucation, not to be confused with personal identification number. So a lot of y'all don't know there are several types of like a national identification number. Let's go here. A national identification number, a national ID number, a national insurance number, or a JMBG or EMBG is used by the governments of countries as a means of tracking their citizens, permanent residents, and temporary residents for their purpose of work, taxation, government benefits, healthcare, and other governmental related functions. Okay, the way the way in such a system is implemented vary among countries, but in most cases, citizens are issued an identification number upon reaching a legal age when they are born. A non-citizen may be issued a number when they enter into a country or when granted temporary or permanent residence. Many countries issue such numbers for a singular persons, but over time they become a de facto national identification number. For example, the United States developed its Social Security number system as a means of organizing and dispersing of Social Security benefits. However, due to the function function creep, the number has become used for other purposes to point where it is almost essential to have one. You see what I'm saying? Among other things, open a bank account, obtain credit cards, or drive a car. Although some countries require a uh, are required to collect tax identification numbers, information for overseas payments procedures. Some countries, like the U.S., are not required to collect others' nations' TIN if they requirements are met, such as date of birth, authorities of the use database as they need to unique identifier so that the data actually refer to search person. In countries where there is no established nationwide number, authorities need to create their own number for each person through there is a risk of mismatched people. So we could go to like Nigeria. The Nigerian National Identification Number is a NIN is used. Somebody says hi. Okay. You say hello. Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, baby. We're gonna go back. National. They your mama let it out. Go ahead, go sit back on the couch. Daddy said hi. No, assigned to Nigerians of all ages, legal residents. Hey, Karasa, who is this? Sorry, let me call you back. Hello? I'm gonna call you back, Troy. I'm gonna call you back. Uh, Huh, go over there, girl. Okay, go back. So when you look at these identification numbers, so let's So you got a national identification. So when I talk to you guys about a social security number or a tax identification number, this is a voluntary number. This is your real ID because you identify. This is why everybody wants your social security number because you are identified as a taxpayer. This is your true identity. And then I'm going to show you how the jurisdiction work, how you coming into the two jurisdictions at the same time. This is why all crimes are commercial. So let's break this down. Let me stop sharing the screen. Let me break this down so my people can see what's going on. And I'm gonna talk to you guys about all of this stuff. You just got to understand, you know. Let me go to internal. So let's go back. So what I'm trying to get y'all to understand, the Internal Revenue Codes are adopted by Congress. Peace, peace. So this is how Congress and the executive branch, Article 1 and Article 2 meet. This is why all crimes are commercial, because the IRS is regulated just like the Treasury is a part, the Department of Treasury is a part of the executive branch, and the Internal Revenue Service is a part of the Treasury to collect taxes for the Federal Reserve System. They are under the control of the executive branch for enforcement. Congress adopted the Internal Revenue Codes, right? So let me see if I can get this to pop back up. I'm trying to get this to pop back up and keep doing this. So I need y'all to understand, right? It keep doing this, family. It keeps saying this page is, it won't. So here we go. Let me see if I can get this to stay up. This is why when you go into these federal courts and these courts, right? This is they're not just Article 1 courts, they're Article 2 courts. They're Article 1 courts, but the Article 2 get to enforce these actions because these are adopted. This says the Constitution and give Congress the power to tax. Congress typically enacts federal law tax in the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. This section of the RSC can be found in Title 26, Code 226 USC. An electronic version of the current United States codes is made available in the public. So you got to understand, these are the Internal Revenue Codes. Congress adopt these before they work for the Treasury tax regulations. The U.S. Department of Treasury give directions to taxpayers on how to comply with the RIC requirements. Treasury regulations can be found in Title 26 of the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR. So what I'm trying to show you is there's an Article 1 jurisdiction that these Article 1 courts, Congress adopt these codes, and these codes are in between the Federal Reserve, not the Federal Reserve, between the federal government on the executive branch and the legislative branch. So they're operating simultaneously. So now you understand how things work, the source of law. Y'all got to understand the source of law. So why do everybody want your social? Because you truly identify as a taxpayer, meaning that you are a debtor to the United States and that you agree to pay the debt of the United States as a taxpayer, and that you voluntarily agree to be a taxpayer. You voluntarily set yourself up to be taxed. And some of y'all is so animated with trust law, trust. Do you know you don't have to do none of that paperwork? Don't you know you can kill all the paperwork and don't have to have nothing? All you got to do is have people assemble, and all y'all got to do is witness what y'all say y'all gonna do. You don't have to put nothing to nobody because you have a right to privacy. Did you know that is a right conferred? Do you know you have a right to privacy? Do you know you have a right to secrecy? That's a right. Do you know you have a right to be forgotten? That's a right. These are God-given rights. Do you know you have a right to refuse a contract? That is a right. Do you know you have a right not to associate yourself with other organizations? That's a right. When we talk about rights, there are a slew of rights. Most of y'all only know under due process, y'all know the right to be heard, a right to confront your accusers, a right to due process, a right to file motions, a right to counsel. What else? It's some more other rights that's slipping my mind. Most of y'all don't understand, right, how this stuff really works. And once you understand these principles, you can understand what to do. The problem is y'all will not organize. Y'all will not get your mind wrapped around really what's in front of you because y'all so busy chasing the money. And under treaty provisions, y'all got money on the table. It's a lot of money. And the reason why they're trying to separate you, to misclassify you, so that you can't come back and make any claims on those treaties to get all that relief, get all that money. Y'all think they just don't want to identify you, right? They just want to call you black, Negro, of color because you a descendant of the slave. No, they don't want you to be able to come back and get paid. Why you think they went through bankruptcy? They said, we're going to bankrupt ourselves. We're going to bankrupt ourselves. Why? If these Moors wake up, they can't claim nothing. So they're using a third party to do what? They extracted all the gold out. Why? Why did they do that? So they can say, well, we ain't got no gold to give you. We ain't got no real money. We ain't got no substance. And now, under treaty law, slavery is forbidden. So you can't go back and enslave them. That was a smart act. See, when you understand really what's going on, that was really smart. These are the things that people are not thinking about because I'm thinking about from contract and business wise. I'm not just thinking about being a Moor, if this is my land. I'm not getting into the historical components. I'm getting into the business, the crux. This is about business. This is about wealth, the wealth of a nation. This ain't about no history contest. Who know the most history about the Moors and this that? This all of this is. Hey, Riri, I'm on the thing. When you understand this stuff, you start looking at it with a different lens, right? You really start looking at it from a different lens. A treaty ain't nothing but a contract between nations. So I want y'all to think about this before I move forward, right? Because we're going to get into the more of the crux of this information, and I'm going to break it down. I want you to think about the UN as a McDonald's franchise, and that the UN is the central hub for McDonald's, and you become a franchisee of McDonald's, right? Now you own a McDonald's. Now McDonald's own all the rights to everything that's going on. I want you to think about this, because this is the same way how it's playing out in the United States. All they did was mirror. So this is what's going on. So now you're a franchise owner. Now this allows you to contract with other McDonald's, but you also got to follow the franchise rules, right? The franchise rules govern how you can do certain things, but you also have a right to privately contract between the other McDonald's. For whatever reason y'all want, y'all can contract to do certain things to bring in revenue, right? So let's say you get into a contract with another McDonald's, it's about to go, it spent a lot of funds and it need to borrow money from you, right? From your McDonald's, because it ran out of hamburger patties. So now you say, okay, I'm gonna order you and ship you the hamburger patties, and you borrow this money from me under contract. You still got to follow the franchise rules, right? But you still got private rights to contract between the other McDonald's. I just need y'all to understand and put this and simplify these things so you can understand how this is being played. So the reason why they went to the UN, right, and created this UN establishment, they wanted to be able to say, hey, we got this institution for the betterment of everybody, right? And everybody trying to get to the UN, right? So they can enforce at the ICJ. But some of these treaties that Moors got pre-exist or predate the UN. Do that mean they're not still enforceable? And who got the jurisdiction to entertain that? Everybody say consular jurisdiction, but what if there is no consular jurisdiction? Because the United States gave up their consular jurisdiction. Why do you think they did that? And if the Moors ain't got one, and the United States ain't got one, where's the default area in which you can go utilize and argue this? So this become a question of law for the Supreme Court because there is no consular jurisdiction. So this is a question that needs to go before the Supreme Court, a question of law. Ain't none of y'all doing that. Because y'all don't know how these principles work. Y'all going in there arguing certain things without first establishing a precedence on the question of law of what? Consular jurisdiction. And the rights of consular jurisdiction when a consular jurisdiction don't exist on both sides. Where is the establishment under the question of law that can give rise that's already established for the what purpose of what? Maintaining peace, especially if you want to use the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. We're talking about questions of law. When there's a conflict, an unforeseen issue, nobody foreseen that. That was an unforeseen issue that both parties was going to give up, that the Empire of Morocco was going to fall apart, and the United States give up their council of jurisdiction. So, a matter of unforeseen issue and conflict in question of law, who now has such right to exercise such power? None of y'all, this is what I'm talking about. When you litigate, like I have, your mind spin. I know a lot of the principles. And I know a lot of y'all are doing an improper application. And this is based on national security. So in your application of law, this is based on national security. This is about nationals being able to secure such right under treaty. This is a matter of national security. So let's get back to it. I just gave y'all some games, some sauce on what to think about, because a lot of y'all are doing it wrong. Y'all going to the wrong venue, improper venue, and y'all not operating in such a capacity where you understand how to move, because you don't understand these principles. You don't understand contract law. You don't understand international law to a point, or just principles of a law, period. Y'all don't know the source of law. Y'all don't know the operation of law. Y'all don't know the application of law. These are things that you have to really understand based on what you're trying to do, to give. And then you don't know how to present and represent facts. See, a lot of y'all get caught up in this arena, and I just want to say this, right? Y'all say, man, I'm gonna do an affidavit of truth. Which y'all got to understand, there's a very distinct difference between truth and fact. A fact, or the truth, I'm gonna start with the truth. Truth is in the eye of the beholder. The truth is in the eye of the beholder. Once something become a fact, everybody in the room has to agree that that is factual. That now it has merit. Once something become a fact, see, it's undeniable. But something, I give you truth, that don't mean that I'm technically wrong. It's just my version or my truth. But that don't make it all the way a factual component. See? Somebody can say the girl pretty and somebody can say the girl ugly. Right? That's their two different truths. But if you say the girl was 6 foot tall, had dark hair with blue eyes, and everybody seen her and agreed to that, now that can become a fact. Now it's undeniable. So I need y'all to understand, when you're dealing with the rules of evidence and dealing fact finding, y'all got to understand how to present your cases. This is why I had a lot of success in the courtroom, because I understood how to bring a question of law on unforeseen issues, of conflicts that was unforeseen, based on unforeseen things. That it was no case law or precedents that had established such right of which can be conferred, in which within the gambit or reach within the jurisdiction. Now we gotta decide the case on its face based on the facts that's presented. See, let me continue. So I want y'all to understand now, right? We went into this. You got a national identification number. So long as you got this tax identification number, right? I ain't even go over the Freedom of Information Act. We'll get to that on another session. But once you understand these facts, once you understand why everybody wants your number, your social security number, your EIN, your ITIN, you identify that you're going to pay these daggone taxes and you're obligated to pay these taxes. This is why you're going to go to jail if you don't pay these taxes. Now let's go and see if we can, what is a national identification number, right? Let's go to see what is a national identification number. Let me see if I can pull that up. Right, let's go and see some stuff. See, it's saying, okay. Where did I go? Where did I go? Now, so before we go forward, before that, let me show you a code, right? Let me show you this code, right? Let's break this down. Let me show you this. Because that's your true identity. You going there talking about more, they looking at your, the court cannot bring you in the courtroom unless they can prove that you owe a debt. That's the first thing they got to establish. This is why they looking to get they collecting evidence, your fingerprints, your photo shot. They say, nah, dude, what are you talking about? You a taxpayer. That's why they bringing you into the court. They established the basis. If you weren't in there, they can't just bring you in there, right? They ain't supposed to bring you in there. Why you think when these immigrants come over, right, these Mexicans come over, why you think they put them in these camps? They just hold them. And then after a while, they let them go. They got to deport them back. They ain't got no jurisdiction to arrest them. They detain them. They might be detained for 6 months, a year, but they got to let them go. They ain't in court going through all of that unless they did a crime, right? But normally, right, they hold them. That's why you got all these immigrants in these camps. They letting them in and they in these camps. They really can't prosecute them and take them to court, right? And then we got to look at Mexico and the United States treaties. What do the treaties allow? Do the treaties allow them both, if a Mexican commit a crime in the United States, that could a Mexican get convicted of a crime? This is all the stuff y'all got to understand. Treaties is the pinnacle and it rolls down. So what happens when you're dealing in contract law between nations with treaties, nations will ratify these treaties into domestic policy. Sometimes they don't. They leave them into international community where only certain people can have the arm reach of such treaty. If the government wants the people to have access to such right, they will ratify and make sure that the people can extend to that right. But if government don't want you to be a part of that, they'll leave it in the international arena where you can't go and reach that. That's why only in the UN, only government can bring a claim. Unless they got I haven't read the charter all the way. They might have what they call the exception rule. I found there are rules within the United States. It's called the exception rule. It's an exception rule. So you got to understand that, right? So you got to be well informed. This is why I'm trying to tell people. Be well informed before you commit an action. Be very well informed. If you're well informed, then you can know when there's a conflict, you will know how to handle it. But when you're not well informed, you don't know what to do. So let's look at this. 26 U.S. Code 6109, identifying numbers. Supplying of identifying numbers when required by regulations prescribed by the Secretary. Inclusions in returns. Any person required under the authority of this title to make a return statement or other documents shall include such return statements or other documents such as identification numbers as may be prescribed for securing proper identification of such person. Okay? Furnishing numbers to other persons. Any person with respect to whom a return statement or other document is required under the authority of this title to be made by another person or whose identifying number is required to be shown on a return, right, of another person shall furnish such number, such identification number as may be prescribed for securing his proper identity. So let me break this down, right? A lot of you Moors, right, have y'all societies, and I can show you how you can create your own numbers for identification, and it can be a national number, and it can't be denied if you understand what you're doing. So when we talk about these things, right, equality is paramount in the eyes of the law. If they can do it, you can do it too. Right? Equality is paramount. So a lot of y'all got these things and y'all don't got no national identification number on your documents, so that you can show certain things. I'm just breaking some stuff down, family. I'm not going to go over everything in this video, but I'm giving y'all a taste of knowledge, what knowledge can do. This is what I already told y'all. Like, everybody, I remember when everybody was talking about the secure party process, and I had a nice little following, right? But I don't go into processes half-ass. I don't do half-ass work. That's not what I have to break it down. I have to understand every component. That's how I work. I'm a critical thinker. I have to understand the access of how all of these things work. So let's continue. So let's get into this other information. So y'all got to understand. So we're talking about the national identification number and due process. We're talking about due process of law, family. So what is due process as it relates to what you're doing, right? To what's going on and how you're moving. So a lot of y'all, right? I'm gonna break down this case. So we're gonna talk about tax exemption, right? And I showed you that exemption and immunity can be interchanged. That a tax exemption, immunity is a tax exemption means immunity. So let's go back there. Let me show you again. So what you want? You want immunity exemption. As from serving in an office or performing duties which the law generally requires other citizens to perform. Right? This is your status. You want your tax exemption status. So a lot of people was talking about the AA, when we was looking at um um what is that, the double A, the triple A, the Clock of Destiny. I'm trying to remember, get it all out, but I can't think about it right now because I'm so in the zone, right? So they were saying that you can use that number for a tax exemption number. You have to understand if that is so, why they could use it, right? As a tax identification number. Why is that important? Because there's a lot of misconceptions because people don't understand how things work. They don't understand the application of law. They don't know why you can do certain things. So if immunity means exemption, that means you're exempt from the jurisdiction. So you should be able to give them your tax identification number or your tax exemption number in which to get the exemption on any bill, traffic ticket, whatever. So let's go to the 14-point test of the IRS. Let me break this down for y'all. Revenue. We're going to talk about your 14-point test for churches. They normally have a form, right? So let me, yeah, it got all the stuff on there. So let's go. So let's break this down. 14-point test. In analyzing whether a religious organization may properly be characterized as a church for the purpose of 508c1a, the IRS consider whether organizations have least of the following characteristics. These attributes of a church have been developed by the IRS by court decisions. A distinct legal existence, recognized creed and form of worship, a definite and distinct ecclesiastical government, a formal code of doctrine and disciplines, a distinct religious history, a member not associated with any other church or denomination. This is very important because when you look up the term association and convention, it also means church. So I want you to understand, when you come with a social security number that is converted into a tax identification number, when you plug it into the Internal Revenue, you're associated with the United States. I want you to understand that. So now you're under their religious order. This is why when you go into the courts, that the judge is under the what? The code of judicial canons. They dealing in canon law. And if you understand the history of canon law, then you should be understanding. I'm not going to go into that spiel because I ain't got a whole lot of time, right? An organization of ordained ministers selected after completing prescribed studies, a literature of its own, established place of worship, regular congregation, regular religious service, school for religious instructions of young. I want you to see that, schools Y'all always talking about we need more schools. Schools for the preparation of ministers, ministers of foreign affairs, schools, and any other facts. It ain't say truth. It said any other facts, circumstances that may bear upon the organization claim for a church. I'm on the video, mama. So I need y'all to understand, we talking about proof of claim. Proof of claim, family. What is a proof of claim? Let's go on to this. Now, remember, I told you a claim also means debt in the United States jurisdiction. So let's look up proof of claim. Let's go over proof of claim form. We can go. Proof of claim. This is a form for bankruptcy. So we're going to go into this proof of claim. Read the instructions before filling out this form. This form is for you making a claim for payment in bankruptcy cases. Do not use this form to make a request for payment of administrative expenses. Make such requests according to these codes, right? So, when we talk about proof of claim, right, y'all need to understand what do that mean. Proof of claim and what it means and how it works. So, hold on, let me share this, right? Let me show this. We're dealing with proofs of claims, family. I can show you how to win your cases in court when you understand proof of claims. A proof of claim is a form submitted by a creditor in order to receive money from a debtor who has filed for bankruptcy. The document provides notice of the claim to all of the other relevant parties involved in the bankruptcy, including the court, the debtor, and any other creditor. Give me my phone. You're not getting my phone. So, when we're dealing with proof of claim, you got to understand, you got to have the proof. You got to have the documentation. You got to have the witnesses. Because that's what's going to court. Stop. You got to have the witnesses. You got to have the evidence. So, a lot of us don't understand how to set up, even when we do our documents, how to organize it and solidify the proof and claim and to get a tax exemption and go to court and give them your tax exemption number. And have evidence, because they can't just pull you in the, they can't pull you into the jurisdiction. They can't pull you into the jurisdiction without proof that you owe a debt. So let's go here. Let me see if I can pull up the document that I had. I was reading a document. I had a document that I was reading. I can't. It's all in my thing. I gotta go through. I'm gonna have to pull it up at another time. What I'm trying to get you to understand is the court cannot. They cannot bring you into the jurisdiction without proof of claim, right? Because a claim is synonymous with debt. So if they put out a claim against you, that they're identifying you as a taxpayer and they saying that you are a debtor to the United States. And it's a way to go about doing all of this and breaking this stuff down, right? So let's go. Let's continue. I'm gonna break this down. You know, I've been on here around a while. Let me show you some other stuff. So let me break this stuff down, right? So let's go here. Let's go to the codes. Share my video, subscribe to my channel, please. I'm gonna show you, right? Let's go to the codes. 28 USC 1604, immunity of a foreign state from jurisdiction. Subject to existing international agreements to which the United States is a party at the time of the enactment of this act, a foreign state shall be immune from the jurisdiction of the court of the United States and of the states except as provided under section 1605 to 1607 of this chapter. So let's go to 16. General exception to jurisdiction immunity of a state. A state shall not be immune from the jurisdiction of the court, United States, or the state in any case which the foreign state has waived its immunity, either explicitly or by implication. Either you got to do it through writing or through your actions. So when you go get a tax identification number and you don't know what you're doing, you just acquiesce to the jurisdiction, and this is what they're using. Notwithstanding any withdrawal or waiver which the foreign state may purport to effect, except in accordance with the terms of the waiver. What? In which the action is based upon a commercial activity carried on in the United States by a foreign state, or upon an act performed in the United States in connection with commercial activity of a foreign state elsewhere, or upon an act outside the territory of the United States in connection with a commercial activity of a foreign state elsewhere, and that act cause a direct effect in the United States. This is what y'all need to know right here. I'm going to put this in the chat. Right here. This is what y'all need to know. Right there. That's what you know. Need to understand where the minimum contact come in at. So, how do you understand what to do? I can show you how to don't come in on the Federal Reserve side, on the public side, meaning that corporation. It's a way to do it where the United States owe you a debt. Everybody's showing you how to come in and deal with that on the other side. There's another way to do it. There's another way to do it. And I'm going to give y'all some of it so y'all can start. But what time is it? How much time I've been on here? Let me see what time. I've been on here for a while. Let me see. 54 minutes. Okay. All right. King Bay gonna break a little bit of this down. Let's go present it. Let me show you. Y'all coming in on the wrong side. Everybody trying to get you to come in on the commercial side, right? Let me see. Department of Treasury. Let me see. Do I want to? You got to go through the Department of Treasury, but let me see. The United States government has a Treasury of the United States. So a lot of y'all are directly dealing with the Federal Reserve, and y'all don't understand how to deal with the Treasury. And you don't understand the relationship. This is why I keep trying to tell you. You don't know the contract the United States signed with the private Federal Reserve System, which is a corporate banking franchise. Why would you want to step in that doo-doo? Why you want to come in on that side? It's a way to come in, right? It says the Treasury in the department. It says the treasurer is in the Department of the Treasury, right? Bureau of Engraving and Printing. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing is a bureau of the Department of Treasury. The head of the bureau is the Director of Bureau of Engraving and Printing, appointed by the Secretary of Treasury. Shall carry out duties and powers prescribed by the Secretary. Report directly to the Secretary. So, do you know the Federal Reserve do not print coins? Do you know that the mint can only make coins? They the only institution that can engrave and make coins. They make the coins for the Federal Reserve. No, I'm on the video. No, I'm on the video, Mama, not right now. Okay. So you got to understand this, family. You have to understand this. You got to understand constitutional money. You got to understand y'all are doing this kind of backwards. And nobody understand what they're truly doing because you're not coming in on the right side of the fence. And if you really understand what you was doing, you will be doing things totally different. We're doing them backwards. And this is a way to do it. So when you set up your institution and you got your tax, you can have a national identification number. How do you prove this? This is your boy King L. Bay. I'm dropping this science on y'all, man. Share this video. Because a lot of people don't know how to do or go about moving in a particular manner. And they don't understand why they're doing it. They don't understand how to do it. So they get challenged on some things. And they don't understand how to make these things work. I can show you how to make them work. I understand the whole application of law and how to utilize these applications. I understand what you have to do, the evidence, the proof of claim, everything from doing it from the state and federal level to have enforcement. I understand that a lot of Moors are not going into the right direction, arguing claims. First, we got to understand who has the right to hear counselor jurisdictional matters, because you're not putting or presenting everything in the proper context under a question of law to the Supreme Court as a matter of national security. And y'all go in and start arguing. Y'all in proper venues all the time. Y'all not setting a case precedence for the Moors. So this is stuff that I may be working on once I get everything evolved and put everything in stone for what I'm doing with my group. Then I'm going to work on this so we can establish something established. So that now we can entertain certain actions when there are certain facts that need to be presented that can be heavy based upon a proof of claim. This is the problem. Y'all filing quo rentos, and the court is looking at y'all, and guess what? You're still holding on to these characters, to these numeric characters, and there are identification numbers. That is your real ID. That is your real ID. I just showed you, and I hit you with how they are saying they can do this. They told you how they're getting jurisdiction. You either express it or through implication, through your actions. I just showed you the code. I posted it in the chat. I posted it in the chat. So the U.S. Mint is the only place that can deal in coins. The Federal Reserve only deal in Federal Reserve notes. They're nothing but dollar bills. They only can deal in bills. And you people like touching it. You don't know how to create your own money. That's another thing. We'll get into that at another discussion. This is why we talk about negotiable instruments. Do you know a contract is money? It can be used as a form of payment, enforcement of money. Everybody think that you have to do the UCCs. You don't have to do a UCC because a security agreement secures the action. It's a security agreement. It's a security. So let me explain to y'all about the UCCs. The UCCs are created by the Uniform, the Uniform Law Commission, the ULC. The ULC create all the uniform codes. The ULC is a private organization under contract with the government. And they nothing but lawyers that write the UCCs. Now let's talk about that. Now, to enforce a UCC, because the federal government don't have a UCC code. You ain't got no federal UCC. The states adopt the UCCs. So the state adopted, right? That means you are in the jurisdiction when you start using this commercial code. That you gave acquiescence, you gave evidence of use because it's codified within the state, verifying that you're doing commercial business. You just told on yourself. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Do y'all understand these principles? Do you understand these principles? I need families to understand this principle of law. This is why I break this stuff down, because there's so many misconceptions and so many people teaching the wrong thing because they're not litigators. When the last time you won a federal case? When the last time you won a traffic ticket? When the last time you won a small claims? When the last time you won a civil suit? When the last time? Most of you guys haven't won. I have won consecutively on a lot of different things because I understand the principles. I don't go into the understanding every statute. There's over 163 million statutes. It's so many statutes. It's 100 and some million statutes and codes, whatever you want to say. It's too many to know. So what do you got to understand? You got to understand the principle of things. So when you understand these principles, you will understand what you need to do. You will understand how to grind this stuff out. You will know how to prove your claim. You will know how to do everything. Then they'll stop saying your documents are fraudulent. then they'll stop saying all of these different things. So please share this video. This is your boy King L Bay. I'm out. I just wanted to just break this down for y'all, help y'all understand this stuff, and I'll be doing more series on this information so you can understand due process, family. Share this video. I hope this help everyone out. Let's get to this Moore's business and let's move on forward. Peace and love, family. I'm out.